We're glad to have all of you here with us today. You should have received from me an agenda, and this is our first ever statewide drone, high school drone advisory board meeting. We are excited about this program. If you know me, you know I am excited about this program, okay? I also know that all of you are excited about this program and excited about being involved in this drone industry that is on the cusp of really exploding. So the point is, I've been involved in businesses and industry that have ramped up drastically, and I'm gonna tell you, the drone business is right where the cell phone business was many years ago. So I appreciate your involvement. We sent you all out an agenda. Hopefully you received that agenda, and we sent you a link to it on, it was a Google Doc. It kind of gives you a breakdown of what we're planning to do. So before we get started, did anybody have any questions or comments related to the agenda? Very good. And since this is the first meeting, we are on the first item is welcome and introductions. And we do appreciate you all being here. We won't go through all this big ordeal about introductions after this meeting because we'll all know each other. So, but we do want to take the time to make sure we all know who we are and what we're there. And so I'm going to let, in a minute, I'm going to let my boss's boss, Trey Michaels, who's a very strong supporter of our drone program. Actually, Trey's a very good, strong supporter of all my programs. And we're very pleased that he's able to make it here for this meeting today. I'll let him give a word of welcome, but when he gets done, what I'd like for you to do is, in turn, if you would tell us, you know, who you are, what company or entity you represent, what drone segment you're involved in, you know, utility, construction, delivery, transportation, education, training, something like that. And then basically what your experience is that you bring to the table, okay? That's important so we all know where our strengths and weaknesses are. Does that sound good? So we're going to begin. Trey, if you would, welcome everybody, and then we'll kick it off from there.
That's outstanding. And David, thank you for pulling us all together. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I'm excited about drones. I have, it's crazy how all of our worlds intersect. A good friend of mine is with the State Highway Patrol and works with their drone program. And, the first time I really recognized the impact that we could make was when he showed some of us some pictures that they had taken and some footage that they had taken during the hurricane a couple years back, and the impact and how it was influencing access. And I just thought about Seattle and how Amazon has been tinkering with some of the delivery there, and I spent a number of weeks of my life in Seattle at different times, and I just think about how drones can be used. I think about, right now we're just talking about packages or footage or insurance issues, agricultural issues. But I think about the times in the future when we have another disaster and we need to get medication to someone or water to someone. And those are going to be the really critical things that we're looking at, and that the children that we're helping to get started in this world will be able to make a difference with. So thank you all for joining us. I know you come from a lot of different walks of life, a lot of different corporate influences. And I thank Brian, Craig, and David for their leadership in this. This started out as a notion of let's try and do something, and immediately we had 31 programs. And I'm sure by now that that's gone way up. That was last year's number. So David, Brian, Craig, thank you for your leadership. Everybody else, I look forward to working with you. So David, thank you.
All right, Wayne, why don't you go next? Because Wayne is a consultant, works for us. He does a lot of stuff. He helped pull this together. Many of you, no doubt, were contacted by Wayne to check out your interests. So Wayne, if you would, kind of introduce yourself.
We thank you very much. Wayne Bailey, representing Blue Ridge Mountain Drones. We're always up for the job. Sorry for the. Also, the background with Scotland Fire Department, and my background in emergency services goes back to 1975. I'll be working generically as a consultant. Dr. Barber said is helping the process. So public safety mainly is what I'm with, and my expectations is to be able to take this much higher level than what Dr. Barber and myself have been doing for the last year, 2 years, and to be able to make sure that that glass ceiling that we're at is busted, popped, and we can continue growing the program.
Okay, I'm gonna go down my list. So that's because I can. That way, I will go through the list. On the phone, we have with us Russon from. I know him from DOT, but he is also the president of AUVSI. So, Russon, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, sir. Hello, everyone. My name is Russon. I'm the president of Aviators Solutions. My background is I'm a commercial pilot, aeronautical engineer, a GIS analyst, and I love drones. So I would say a drone educator, not an expert. But I've been involved in the last 6 to 7 years with state, academia, and industry. So initially I started for 3 years with universities, helping build university programs. And then from there, I moved into state, and I've been helping build state drone programs, bring in initiatives, and I was with the Department of Transportation for 3 years. I was brought in to change how the drone industry thinks in North Carolina, and rest is history and what we were able to achieve as a team. And other than that, I worked with other states, really a bunch of states, on how to bring in a statewide drone program and just help out on the education and outreach side. Right now, the company heavily focuses on education and outreach. With most recently, we have launched an initiative, a global education initiative called Beyond Unmanned, which is helping bring countries together and understand what common problems are there and how to find a solution to it. Other than that, we have put together some of the big events in drone for drones in states like SD Drone Summit and Flight Expo, Arizona Unmanned Conference and everything. So altogether, been part of the drone industry for over 6 years now, and I'm glad to be a part of this team and see how I can assist and work with you all.
Again, and let me say that Russon was very helpful in helping get us started. We met with him before we ever begun that drone program, like we normally do, meet with people in the industry. And so he very much was very helpful, very instrumental in helping us move our program forward. So we appreciate all that he's done. I'm going to go ahead and let Edgar Valdez, because I think he has to drop off in a minute anyway. And so we'll make sure he has the opportunity to introduce himself. So Edgar?
Thank you, Dr. Barber, and I appreciate the time. So as you mentioned, my name is Edgar Valdez, and I specifically represent UPS Fly Forward, and we are rather new to the industry, and specifically our focus is package delivery. It aligns with our logistics model. And what's interesting in regards to that is that we're not really just focused in regards to small UAS. Our focus goes beyond that. We received our Part 135 air carrier certificate, and with that, we anticipate and expect to be able to utilize that to its fullest extent. And so, therefore, it's final mile delivery potentially from a package car, campus model, which we're currently doing in North Carolina. And during our campus medical network, also potentially small feeder network as well, and then even some medium-sized UAVs, and so therefore we are exploring sort of the whole industry and working closely with the various operators and also really more so with the actual manufacturers and really the industry as a whole. It's as far as our expectation, this, I think you touched on this very well. This is very much a nascent industry, and very much look forward to where the end state and potentially there isn't. It's going to be ever evolving, and so look forward to that ability to be able to be part of that and be in the cusp of an emerging technology is very exciting, not just for myself, but I think for us as a company as well. And we look forward to be able to be part of this, be able to educate individuals. It's sometimes there's so much focus on that actual technology, but there needs to be quite a bit of focus in regards to the education and the actual industry, the people that are behind it, and I think education is going to be critical in regards to that, and provide a ability for someone to now have a new role, a new path that didn't exist 6 months ago or a year ago, and potentially something completely new in 6 months from here or several years from now. So very excited about that.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Ben Spain from DOT.
Hey, I'm Ben Spain. I'm the relatively new UAS program manager in NCDOT Division of Aviation. Just started back in July. Before that, I was at Precision Hawk for a year. And before that, I was an Air Force pilot, C-130s for 12 years. So within DOT, I work infrastructure inspection, transportation, and then also working with folks like Joseph Marshall and UPS Fight Forward, Zipline, all those different folks to help them with the IPP and beyond, et cetera. And in terms of my experience, I think something probably that's a little unique I bring is I did spend 5 years in the Air Force's C-130 flight school. So for education, I've got a fairly good foundation of teaching aviation, probably at more of a graduate level than what we're thinking for this, but the experience is there. And then today I brought TC Freeman with me. So TC recently kind of shifted roles in Division of Aviation. He's been with us for over 20 years, I believe. And he's a safety specialist and education specialist. And he's here to help me with outreach, education, and things like that. So I really want him to be here to see what's going on. That might segue into TC nicely. I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead, TC. Then while once this started, you go ahead and finish it.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, the short story is I grew up flying airplanes. My father taught me to fly. He taught at Guilford Tech for years and years. I had an uncle that flew for the old Eastern Airlines and finished his career on 757s before old Frank Lorenzo got a hold of the company. But anyway, I had my eye on the airlines as a young man, but 20-some years later, I'm with DOT and just really enjoy the people interface and the education part. So been doing a lot of stuff with the youth programs on the man side. And who knew that I would be having to distinguish myself between the man and unmanned. So this is my new unique mantis there. But it's been really cool. So we get to interface with pilots of manned and unmanned types, youth, and mechanics, and all that. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Dr. Narcissus, can you pronounce your name better? I'm sorry, I'm terrible on your name.
That's fine. Hi, everybody. Well, it's a pleasure to be the only woman in this group, gee Louise, from the looks of it. My name is Narcisa Pricope, and I'm an associate professor at UNC Wilmington. I received my first FAA small pilot license in 2016, and I've been developing my own program here ever since. I have been teaching undergraduate and graduate classes in UAV operations and data processing and data gathering, and have received about $500,000 in funding from various federal agencies and state agencies to conduct UAS-based research. One of my projects is currently funded by the NCDOT, and I'm supporting the environmental analysis unit with integrating spectral, thermal, and LiDAR borne or LiDAR collected from UAVs for wetland monitoring. And I've also conducted UAS and remote sensing research in Southern Africa and Peru, but I'm very passionate about the teaching part of this. I have graduate students and undergraduate students here at UNC Wilmington working with drones, and I've already sent quite a few students out on the market that are doing pretty good. So I'm happy to be part of this board. Thank you.
And I believe we're also, we're working to try to set up some training with you, some of our high school teachers related to mapping, correct?
Yes, yeah, we were, but I haven't, yeah.
We're still working on it. We're just
Okay, let me know.
we're still planning on working on it. Very good. Thank you very much. Let me see then. My next one on my list is going to be Garrett Scott.
Hey, thank you, David. Garrett Scott, I'm with Duke Energy, and we're the electric utility that covers part of North Carolina, South Carolina, and some territories in the Midwest. We have assets in almost every state in the U.S., commercial assets as well. So I sit in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm part of the aviation services team for the company. And our team is the governance and oversight group for UAS technology for the company. And then we also have a services group based out of Charlotte with about 40 people in it. And we go out and do pretty much anything that you can think of with drones, from void inspections, confined space operations to, wire environment inspections. And we have a pretty large effort in the Carolinas right now to inspect every circuit that we own for grid hardening and grid upgrades over the next 3 or 4 years. So we've got quite a few people working on that, and just happy to be here.
And we're very glad to have you with us. Next one then is going to be Jeff Jennings. You want to go ahead, Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff Jennings, 40 years roughly aviation background. Started out as a crew chief on the A-10 way back a long time ago. 30 years in FBO, private business, corporate, airline, aviation, all facets, and then the last 10 years with the Lenore community as program chair of aviation.
And I'll need to interject that Jeff helped me get my certification. I took his 2-day workshop. 2 or 3 days? Was it 2 days or 3 days? Was it 2 days?
It's 2 days, 2 8-hour days.
Yep. But he helped me. I was definitely beneficial. The material he gave me, I used very much. So I do appreciate him being involved. And we'll lead right in there from the community college with Lenore community over to our partners at Elizabeth City State University. So Dr. Watt.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. This is Kuldeep Rawat here from Elizabeth City State University, where I serve as the Dean for the School of Science, Aviation, Health and Technology. So we do have a aviation program and our newer drone program, the Unmanned Aircraft System program that we started in 2019. Other than that, we also do several outreach programs. We are actually a NASA Aerospace Academy site, one of the 9 sites where we offer aerospace engineering plus drone type programs to 600 plus students every year. And we host high school drone exploration academy on campus every summer as well. Other than that, we have other projects going on. We are currently working on a project in Pine Island, Outer Banks, mapping estuarine shoreline for various restoration, marsh restoration projects there as well. And if you have not been to Elizabeth City State University, we do have a state-of-the-art simulation facility for both manned and unmanned aircraft training, as well as a good mix of both fixed wing and rotary drones. So I'm glad to be part of this elite group, and look forward to contributing in any form or shape that I can. Thank you, Dr. David, for inviting me.
Thank you, sir, for being part of it. We value partnerships with our educational process, because our objective is to get them trained in high school, move them into community college, move them to the university level, give them the opportunities to continue to grow. That glass ceiling hurts over a period of time, so having the ability to expand it through education is critical. All right, next on my list then is Joseph Marshall. We talked to you a little bit about the COVID, but let's talk to you about your
yeah.
I'd
much rather talk about that than the COVID for sure. No, in all seriousness, thanks for having me. I'm Joseph Marshall, currently the director of flight operations for Zipline. Kind of working backwards from that. I was at Amazon Prime Air for almost 5 years. I was there when they only had 50 employees, believe it or not. Had an opportunity to be part of their first commercial delivery in Cambridge, England, which was fantastic. 2 focus areas there was one being safety management, helping build out their SMS program, and then transitioned into building and managing their training and standardizations program, which was a blast. Backwards from that, I really cut my teeth in the 121 space. Worked for Allegiant Airlines for many years. Again, building and managing safety management systems. Opportunity to do some 91 repo flights and so forth. And then prior to that, was just kind of flying around, flight instruction, charters, just the typical man pilot, having a good time. So that's a little bit about me. The company that I work for is obviously Zipline. We recommend the drone delivery segment. We're actually based out of California, but as we're moving towards our Part 135 certificate, much like UPS mentioned, which they already have, our principal base of operations is going to be right here in North Carolina, or right in the Charlotte area. So we are super excited to be here. I'm selfishly very excited to be in the area. Absolutely love it. And as I mentioned, we're really focused on drone delivery. What are my expectations? I mean, there's a lot. I think, for me, as part of the 135 program, we have to build out a robust and approved training program. And it's not scalable or economical over time to be hiring private or commercial pilots. We want to have a program that's robust enough where we can pull in individuals who are remote pilots and maybe have gone through a specific curriculum. So any opportunity that we Zipline and this group has to help influence what that education needs to look like to really enable individuals to be very successful as they move into this 135 space, or whatever that kind of commercial delivery space looks like, but just give them the tools and resources needed to really hit the ground running, as Zipline, Amazon, UPS Flight Forward, and others who are pursuing their 135 certificates, can get going. So anyways, super excited to be here, and that's me.
Thank you very much. I think you will find that our strategies that we have for these programs is going to be very much in line to help provide you what you're going to need to be successful in the future. That's our job. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The next one I have on my list then is Paul Russon.
Hey, thank you very much, Dr. Barber. And it's great to see some familiar faces, and I look forward to connecting and helping and working with the folks who I don't recognize. I am the founder and COO of 910 Drones. We are located in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We're working with businesses to help them integrate drones into their current workflows. We do that through training, program building and support, and as well as drone sales. We're involved in sales because a lot of the folks we work with, especially on the public safety side, don't have that budget. So if you're able to, make something on that sales side, it's a great way to help businesses be able to get that training and that understanding of this technology. So doing that with 910 Drones, we're working with 5 high schools currently to help them integrate drones through mapping or the engineering aspect. And we've also launched, pun intended, a cohort of 30 educators across the state of North Carolina that are in the high school and middle school level to help drive and get them the information and resources to integrate drones into what they're doing. As well as 910 Drones, I'm the site operations manager for Causey Aviation Unmanned here in Fayetteville. Causey Aviation Unmanned is partnered with Flytrex Air Delivery, and working with Walmart here, we are doing drone deliveries of commercial goods, groceries, and things like that to individuals in backyards. I'm hoping that this advisory council for the high schools, the teachers in the state of North Carolina, I hope that we're able to connect those educators with the local opportunities that can help them build their program, provide the educational resources, and connect those students with future employment. We've hired, not counting myself, 4 pilots. We have 5 Part 107 drone delivery pilots here in Cumberland County, and it's really exciting because it's only going to grow. So, thank you very much, Dr. Barber.
Thank you, sir. And Paul's also I'm a town councilor of Smithville, and he's actually come and help us do some stuff. We're still working through that issue, Paul, but we should have some stuff coming in January. Just let you know where we are.
And then also, as Darshan mentioned, Darshan, president of the North Carolina AUVSI chapter, Riley on here as well. I don't think he's introduced himself, but serving as the community outreach coordinator. Well, maybe I make a great segue here.
That's right.
Also serving as the community outreach coordinator for the NCHSDAC chapter, which is, it's in the past year has just done nothing but great things under the leadership and direction of Darshan to help put North Carolina and the folks in our state grow and do well in the UAS space. So thank you.
And having said that, then we'll go over to Riley now. So it's a good segue.
Thank you, sir. My name is Riley Beeman. I'm the director of the North Carolina Public Safety Drone Academy, and coming to you from different hats that I wear. We partner with a lot of people through the community college system, other community colleges here in North Carolina, a lot of your universities. I've had the pleasure of partnering with, Department of Transportation, Division of Aviation. We do a lot with the military. We do a lot with individual high schools. We're now starting to work with some of the middle schools. So just different things. And again, like Paul was saying and Darshan, I am the vice president of AUVSI North Carolina. And again, serve as kind of an advisor and group member for different groups around the state and the country. And also several instructors I have on here. So, we're very fortunate to be a part of this, and we thank you guys for that. And again, with all of our partners that are on this panel as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being part of this. Steve Rhodes, waiting for you.
My name is Steve Rhodes. I'm the chief pilot for the Wake Forest Fire Department. I fly the airplane as Fire Demon 1, and I've been a drone pilot for the fire department since 2014 as Firebird 1. I'm also an educator, and I'm the one of the writers for the AOP safety group on public safety drones. Oh, and by the way, I also know Riley Beeman, who just looked like he was in the witness protection program. I'm proudly associated with the North Carolina Public Safety Drone Academy, and also Ben Spain from DOT.
All right, and the only ones I have left on here that I have not introduced is I do have, again, I mentioned that I do have two of my coworkers with me who are part of my drone team at DPI, and I'll have them introduce themselves briefly. Craig Pendergraph, and then Craig, if you turn it over to Brian. Craig still there? Hey, Brian, you go ahead and introduce yourself then.
Okay, hello everyone. Brian Moy, consultant area of technology, engineering, and design education. About 27 years of education, experience in education, and I'm here to expose my teachers in the technology, engineering, and design education program to the drone program. Thank you, Craig. Right.
Craig may have had to step away or involved in something else, so we're going to let me just tell you, Craig Pendergraph is he's a education consultant responsible for construction, all our construction programs in the high school. Obviously, construction being a major industry for drones. Actually, it's rated as the biggest one, that according to Goldman Sachs. Next to that being agriculture, but number one was construction. So we are definitely, glad to have Craig as part of our team. Okay, if you look at the agenda, you see that we're supposed to have 30 minutes on that. We're at 2:34. That was pretty close to covering that amount of time. So the next thing we want to cover on the agenda, go ahead, yes.
I think we missed someone. I don't remember hearing from Jason. I think he's on the phone. That's probably the reason why you missed him. Jason Holt.
Oh, Jason. All right, go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry.
Hey, Dr. Barber. My name is Jason Holt. I run the Stonehouse Drone Institute and the nonprofit, the American Drone Council. We train folks nationwide. We do a pilot placement program for pilots that have been vetted. We do power line inspection. We do the Inspection Pilot Proficiency Program, or the IP3, which is a training sort of certification we do through the nonprofit for our power line pilots, cell phone tower guys, and then we're starting into the wind farm industry, as well as we just acquired some of Sky Monkey Thermal, which does solar work out of Ohio. We've trained first responders, search and rescue pilots, done flights for law enforcement during some of the riots, done flying all over the country, really, from California up to New Hampshire, down to New Orleans and Florida. We do storm assessment work. We've done, the proof of concept work for AT&T, T-Mobile on their cell towers, as well as mapping the underbuild for storm assessment. We've done proof of concept most recently for Sirius Radio, the satellite FM. They've got transceivers and transmitters up on 1,000-foot tall cell phone type structures. So had some experience with the FAA authorizations above 450 feet. I've been in aviation since 1985, commercially rated and flight instructor rated back in 88 and 89. Taught at the International School of Aeronautics over in Bolivar, Tennessee for quite some time, as well as Soul Aviation in Panama City, Florida. And flew Ramp 66, flew through Hurricane Hugo carrying mail and canceled checks back in the day. I had a flight instruction company in Asheville, North Carolina, Eldridge Aviation for a short time, and been involved in the drones since about 2012. Started the Stonehouse Drone Institute in 2015 and really got going business-wise in 2016. We've trained folks for electric co-ops all over the state. We work with one of the companies out of Tunnel Hill, Georgia, as far as training some of their Class A linemen with drone operations, as well as local co-ops here. We're working on our Part 137 for the agricultural spraying of right-of-ways and some of the fields. And we have been working with NC agricultural guys, Wayne and I both, and doing the Christmas tree farm work with those guys. So we've been doing it for a minute, thoroughly enjoy both manned and unmanned. Have the pleasure of knowing a few of the guys in the room here. So just happy to be here, be a part of this, and hopefully get these guys trained right, and girls, and put on the same path for success with their drone operations. So I'm at y'all's disposal. Happy to be here.
Thank you very much, Jason. Sorry, I didn't. You didn't have numbers. I skipped you, but appreciate you being here. So we see we've got a pretty good team. We cover a lot of different areas. I think the expertise on here is what we need for what we're trying to do. If you would look at the agenda, the next thing on the agenda is the review of our charter. I believe I sent you, all of you should have received a copy of the charter. Did you not? I mean, anybody did not receive it? I'm going to share my screen. If you can see, if you can't, you just have to listen. Let me find the right one here. Yes, here. Share this one. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. This is the agenda right now, but I'm going to switch over on this agenda to the charter. Yes. This was a charter that we provided. We produced. What we did was we modeled this charter after the FAA's Drone Advisory Committee. That's the reason why it's called the North Carolina High School Drone Advisory Committee. We use a lot of the similar stuff, the same format that they did to identify it. I just want to hit a few highlights on here. We are the NCHSDAC. The authority is from, of course, DPI is our state board. We're responsible for programs in the high schools. In the secondary schools, we are not. We have no influence on the community college system. We do have some community college people here. We appreciate their involvement, but our programs are strictly targeting the secondary schools, not the post-secondary schools. Let's see, when it goes here, stakeholders include teachers, students, administrators, government entities, and industrial the key, our view is we always focus on the student and the industries that they serve. I know several of you were talking about that, you're looking for, how you can provide possibilities for potential. You're going to need these resources in your future to build your programs. Our job is to provide those resources for you. We're not, now bear with me on this, we don't stumble over STEM. STEM is a word we use a lot. Sometimes it's overabused. Science, technology, engineering, and math is something that all of us do in CTE. You can't do most of our programs without being involved in science, technology, engineering, and math. So for us, that's a check mark. We check off, we're already doing STEM. We don't talk about STEM a lot in our programs that we're doing. We're focusing on getting the student industry eligible for a job. You understand what I'm saying? Our program is focused, our drone technology program is focused on what do we do to get our students eligible to fly, get them trained to fly, get them to be able to do those things. So you'll see in a few minutes that our first level courses are focused on getting them getting them FA 107 certified and getting them NCDOT operator permitted, so that when they leave that class, they are legally eligible to fly. Our second level course is going to focus on them learning the skills associated with the skills needed to fly the stick, both manually and autonomously, and then the ability to take data and manipulate that data into mapping. So when they get done, we've got a qualified pilot who can fly and can also map products, can use the data that they get. So that's our objective for what we're doing. The duties here is what we're asking for you guys is to assist us finding a leadership and direction for our program that's going to improve the opportunities for our high school students desiring to develop careers. Again, remember, we're trade industrial education. Our objective is to put them to work. We always say in our area of trade industrial education, we're education that works. You understand? People that come out of our program, our intent is to go to work. So what can we do right out of high school that can enable them to go to work? That doesn't mean they end their education. As I already said, we want them to get their degree, associate degree, get their 4-year degree. I'm a product of that. I have a doctorate degree in education, but I first had an associate degree. Then I had a bachelor degree. Then I worked through my company and got a master's degree. And then I got my doctorate. The point is, I got the education I needed to be successful. That's what we view as a great opportunity for our students. And by the way, I only paid 1 year of tuition at a community college for all my degrees. It's because my employers paid for tuition reimbursement. My point is, this is what we want for our students, the ability to earn while they learn. Okay? So that's what our objective is. Not in that education. We want them to continue on that education because that's how you move up the ladder. Anyway, that's what we're going to be asking for you. We want you to be able to undertake tasks assigned by this advisory group, what you're willing to help us do, to deliberate on and approve recommendations for assigned tasks and meetings that may be held in person or virtual. Okay? That's pretty much that part. Let's see. What I'm going to be doing, so if you don't see my responsibility, I will tell you that the objective right now, what we're planning to do is we're planning to meet about 3 times a year to carry out our responsibilities. The objective would be that we would do some stuff and then we would come back. We won't need 2 hours in the future. Hopefully, the objective today was to give time to do introductions, kind of review some materials, and then tell you where we are. And then when we're done with that, we want you to tell us where you think we should be going. We don't want to develop our programs in a vacuum. I think we've communicated with a lot of people as we've gone what we've done so far, because a lot of you already know, a lot of you have already had conversations with, what we're doing, but we do want to have a consensus of where we're going to make our programs better. It says we will announce at least 15 days before each meeting, and hopefully we'll provide you an agenda at that time, so if anything needs to be updated or added to or changed in the agenda, we can do so. Anyone interested may attend the committee meetings and appear before the DAC within a reasonable amount of time. In other words, we don't limit our committee to just you. If you have some other people that are interested in attending to present things, information, we want information, right? We believe knowledge is power, and we want to make sure we have the information that we're doing to make sure our students are successful. The DAC will submit recommendations for membership to the CTE director, will appoint members to the DAC. So Trey's responsible to provide the oversight to make sure that we do no more than 15 members, because we think once you get beyond that, it becomes more of a information only and not a working group. We can't have subcommittees on here, and we do keep records of this information. All right, that's pretty much the agenda. I mean the charter. Any questions about the charter? Anything that you didn't understand? It's pretty straightforward. Okay, then I will go on to our next item. Just to let you know, we do have a YouTube channel. It's called Drone Pilots for NC. We have a hashtag. You can go to our, matter of fact, Paul recently saw it. Paul sees our hashtag. He actually comments on it. We do have a Drone Pilots for NC is our hashtag for anything that we think are relevant to our high school programs. So we have on YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We have a hashtag is Drone Pilots for NC. We now have a YouTube channel. The videos that are on our YouTube channel are those that are created by our members within our North Carolina high school programs, and so that's something you might want to go and look and see. And that if it's something that we want to share from other people, we share it with the hashtag on their existing media. So like YouTube, we could go to YouTube and share it with that way. Any questions about that? Okay. Let me click on the agenda. Okay. So the expectation, remember, we covered that. We would like to have we are in the charter, we did have defined a chairperson for the committee. Here's what I would ask. We're not going to take time now to elect a chairperson. I would like to have an industry person to help lead this board. You know, we can do all the work behind the scenes. Myself and my coworkers and Wayne, who we contract with, can do the work behind the scenes. But we would like to have industry guiding the committee. So what I would say, if you're interested in being a chairperson for this committee or serving in some type of capacity, if you would email me, david.barber@dpi.nc.gov, you have that information already. If you email me expressing your interest in being a chairperson or serving on in some type of leadership role for this committee, I will be glad to, we'll be glad to determine the best way to select that chairperson, and then we'll be glad to go from there. And then that chairperson will lead this meeting as we go forward, and not me. But let me know that, and we can. Does anybody have any questions related to the charter or structure? Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the more important stuff we really wanted to be here for, right? We're going to talk a little about the curriculum program. This is what we are currently doing in our high school programs. I want you to be aware. We already talked about that in our course numbers. We have something called ID11. It stands for drone. Our drone technology 1 course is our number is ID11, drone technology 1. And then we have a second course called ID12, drone technology 2 course. Our drone 1 course is aligned to the 107 certification. But let's talk about the first thing we want to talk about is our teacher qualifications. Our teacher qualifications, to be a teacher in our program, you must be a 107 certified pilot with your NCDOT operator permit. You cannot teach in our programs without being certified as a FAA 107 certified pilot and your NCDOT operator permit government. Our philosophy is to teach one, you got to be one. I know the AMA recently, working through the AMA, convinced the FAA to change the requirements so that if you teach in a school and utilize drones in your classroom, in the school, you do not have to have your 107 certification. You can just have you can fly under the recreational flyers. But to teach the 107 certification in North Carolina high schools, to teach one, you got to. If you're teaching automotive, you have to be automotive certified. If you're teaching computers, you must be A+ certified. If you're teaching firefighting, you got to be firefighter certified. You understand? So to teach one, you got to be one. So to teach the 107, you have to be certified in 107. I had a question for, I think Darson and I had this discussion when he was at NCDOT. We do believe that our teachers that are teaching in high schools, whether you're teaching the 107 certification or not, should still be NCDOT operator permitted. That is, I believe, by legislation, a requirement. If you teach in government, or you use a drone in government, you must be at least DOT operator permitted. Is that correct, Darson or Ben, either one of you?
I haven't thought of it.
Would you want to take that question?
I was going to say, I haven't thought of it in that way yet, so I'll have to go look through it and see.
Okay, and Darson,
as for what I checked a little bit, I talked to a few people earlier in the academic side. If you're a government, if you're basically operating for a government or for commercials, you require to have a North Carolina permit. Now, the school system falls under the government, so technically you're not offering any, you're not doing any commercial services if you look at it, but you're getting paid to do that work. So that is commercial in a way, and it's government. So as a safe bet, yes, all faculty will have to have their permit, North Carolina permit, and that is like, maybe we can find a gray area in that, but it's always good to keep that additional requirement.
And then it's really the to pass the government certificate NCDOT operator permit. If any of you have not taken it, you can go to the DOT's website and you can click on it, and there's a PDF file that has all the information you need to pass that test in one PDF file. It does not include sectional charts, and there's something, I don't think it includes weather, does it? I think it, but it's really, it's all about safety. And why would we not want our teachers to be safe? To know how the basic rules of safety and related to drone flying. So we are pushing that. And again, I had this conversation with Basil Yap, who I think Ben took his place. Basil, I think, was also a contractor, though. But and he also agreed that the teachers, because they're flying as a government employee, would be required by legislation to be NCDOT operator permit government. There's no excuse for them not to get it because that costs them nothing to do it. So we are requiring that, and we're pushing that in our schools, that all of our teachers, whether you're teaching for 107 certification or not, should be DOT operator permit. Is that, I mean, Ben, you can give us a final official word on that when you get a chance to think about it more, but we're pushing this. I've been pushing as hard as I can. Trey knows I've been trying to push this because I think it's about safety. And if our teachers are flying drones in the classroom, they need to understand safety. So I don't see why they would not want to be certified. Others, comments?
Has there been pushback where people didn't want to? I mean, it's so easy. I don't see why.
They don't know about it. The point is, it comes to ignorance. They don't know about it. We need to do a better job. But before we push people to say that, because we have a lot of people that do offer drones in their classroom just for an add-on. Tech Ed, I have with us, Brian Moy. And Brian will tell you that we have a lot of people in Tech Ed that buy drones to teach engineering principles. And there's a lot of curriculum out there that will teach STEM, will teach technology using drones because it engages the student in the learning. And that's great. The deal is the teacher has no knowledge about the requirements to fly. And we need to ensure that for safety purposes that our teachers are aware of that. So our recommendation would be that we provide that if DOT provided us a document that said all teachers in North Carolina who are using drones are required to follow the NCHSDAC operator permit government, then we could easily push that out to all of the school systems because it comes from NCDOT, not from the state board, because it's not the state board requirement. It should be a legislation requirement that is, through legislation that requires that, right? I mean, legislators is the one that approved that requirement. You understand what I'm saying, Ben?
Yeah, I do.
We can talk, but I just wanted to throw that out there for teacher qualifications. All of our teachers that teach our programs are certified in both 107 and NCDOT operator permit, so it's not really an issue related to our programs and the programs that we're covering under this board, but it is something that we want to cover under, that we do cover for the other people that are not teaching under our programs. That is an issue. The next thing we want to talk about is, yep.
Oh, sorry, this is Trey. I just wanted to reiterate, I know you've mentioned this a couple times before, related to Brian and probably Craig. I had to answer a quick call for a second, but with any of our programs where we have high school teachers teaching students, if there's a certification, we really want to make sure they have that certification because it just adds validity to the students. The students have a higher trust level with the instruction. And then when they're dealing with business and industries and partners and growing those local partnerships to provide a pipeline to employment, it gives that local business a lot of confidence as well. So it's all around. It's a really good thing.
And when it comes to our teachers, it also matters about insurance and liability.
Yes. Yes.
And so it would be really difficult if we have people that are flying a drone, as an example, and they fly the drone has a flyaway. We know that happens, especially if you don't know what you're doing. You can flip it off the control and then it goes up. You lost it, and then that drone flies into traffic. That car then swerves and hits somebody else, and we damage a Porsche of $50,000, $100,000 worth of damage. Well, then they come and start investigating. Our teachers don't have any license. They're not certified in flying drones. Can you think of the liability for the school on that? That alone becomes a factor, that they don't have any type of training, documentation for training. It is a factor for us. So in our programs, they have to be certified. Matter of fact, if we have a piece of equipment that has a safety test, everybody has to take that safety test and pass it 100%. 100%. They can't miss one question, or we can't let them work on that piece of equipment because that could be the thing that the lawyers sue us on, that they didn't know everything. So we have to have 100%. So anyway, that becomes an issue for us. But the other as far as student certifications in this course, the students in that first level course will come out with a 107 certification and be eligible to sit for the 107 certification and the NCDOT operator permit government. That's the first level course. Now there is an additional certifications that they can get. Wayne, you want to talk to some certifications that they can get in the first level course?
Just briefly, yes. USI is offering classes, and they're more like an honors class for these students to be able to get that can offer 3 to 12 credit hours, ACE accredited, that they can take to a college. So I think some of the schools are going to use those for honor classes. Is that correct, Dr. Barber?
That's correct. They have a certification for safety, drone safety certification, what it's called. It's not the 107, it's a safety certification. Their objective was for them to take this, get the certification, and then they would lead them to the 107 certification. Outside of that, that course actually doesn't lead to 107. USI does have curriculum that they gave to us that does help you lead to the 107 certification, but that's not a particular course. Hardware. If you're interested, I have a video that I did for ACTE recently. It's on our Drone for NC YouTube channel. You can go on there and see our 30-minute video on how to implement and deploy a drone high school program. and we do talk about equipment for hardware equipment. Basically, the hardware equipment that we're advising them to buy for our drone classes there's 4 drones we recommend. The first drone we recommend is the Mavic 2 Air. It's the best ones you can buy today on the market. For $1,000 or less, you can get it it flies for 40-minute flight time. It is a great drone for that purpose. The second one is the Altel Evo 2. That has a lot of features in it. It's a little more drone, $1,600, but it has more features. The third one that we recommend is the DJI Mini. They now have the Mini 2, which is even better. The Mini is like $500, and the Mini 2 is like $600. But those are drones that can be flown inside or outside. And then we recommend the DJI Tello drones. For inside flying, you only get about 13 minutes flying time. They only have like 300 feet. But these are the type of drones that we believe we can teach our students that are real drones. They have real interfaces. And we aren't in the Hobby Lobby business. So, yeah, you can get a $100 drone. But we're not in the Hobby Lobby business, right? We're trying to teach them how to fly a real drone. They don't need a Matrix drone, they don't need that caliber of drone to teach what we need to learn in our courses. So we've really backed off, but that's the type of hardware. We do additionally, beside that, we require them to buy cones, to set it out. We require yellow vests, high-res vest jackets, helmets, glasses, things of that nature. And you can go to that video that we have that lists all of that information. Wayne, did I leave anything else out related to hardware?
Not unless you consider the Nist props as hardware.
That's a good point. We use this. If you're not familiar with the Nist, the National Institute for Standard, what is it? National Institute for Standard, the T. You know what the T
Technology.
Okay, and so they came up with a standard, working with Nfpa, National Fire Protection Agency, came up with a standard to help them to train their fire instructors. So there's an NFPA 2400. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But we did develop there's Nist standards you can get. You can go to our website. You can go online and find it. There are lots of information about these Nist standards for NFPA 2400. These are simple 20-foot. Let's face it. If you can teach a student to fly around, look at pictures in a 15 to 20-foot range, there's not much up there at the 200-foot level, right? I mean, you can fly there without hitting anything at 200 feet most of the time. It's the 15 to 20 feet range, 0 to 20 feet that you're going to run into things. So if you can fly around these Nist standards, you're going to be pretty good. So that's what we are utilizing. We are making that available in our first level class, but we are teaching it in the second level class. Software applications we are using because we recognize that our students need to be able to use checklists. We're training our students as pilots. So our students are learning how to do all the things they need to do as a pilot. That includes pre-test, post-test, in-flight testing. They need to do maintenance. They have to keep up with logs, asset management, all of this stuff. And to do that, we've contracted with Kitty Hawk. You may know, Kitty Hawk, FAA used Kitty Hawk to develop their fly app. They're heavily involved in Lance, my applications also. And they also have a close partnership with DJI, so these DJI drones can directly interface with Kitty Hawk. So we have a partnership with Kitty Hawk. All of our schools have Kitty Hawk software. They do all of their management of assets, all of their maintenance logs, all their flight logs for their pilots, all of their pre-post and in-flight logging and checklists are all maintained through all their flight planning, mission planning. All this stuff is done through Kitty Hawk. So when our students get out of the program, they know how to be a professional pilot with all of the preliminary, all the documentation that they need to do. We do that through the Kitty Hawk Fleet Management software. Any questions about our first level course of what we're covering? Okay, our second level course is in pilot this year. The other course, we taught that course in 30, 35 schools have been teaching the drone pilot course. Now, I'll be honest with you, COVID has had a negative effect on our programs because we can't fly. And it's, you know, we can still teach the 107 certification. We can still teach the NCDOT operator permit without any flying at all, because it's not about flying, right? It's about learning how to be safe. So we can still teach that first level course, but the second level course becomes much more difficult. The second level course, we're going to focus on something different. Let me see if I can bring up for you the blueprint for our second level course. Let me bring this up for you and show you where we're going with our second level course. It should be coming up on the screen right now. This is what we're teaching in our second level course. Now remember, let me tell you, to get into our second level course, our students have to be 107 certified pilots and NCDOT operator permitted. They can to our level 2 course unless they're already FAA certified pilots with their NCD. So having said that, what we're doing is we are doing the first thing we're teaching them is we're teaching them entrepreneurship, because we recognize that a lot of these students are going to be we've got high school students in Scotland County today who are running their own drone business, doing real estate and weddings, hanging fruit, making $300 a pop. As an 18-year-old flying drones. So we want to make sure that our students have the ability to be entrepreneurs. So one of the things we teach them is how to determine, there's something called a lean canvas placemat. You ever go online, you can go and see, it's called lean canvas placemat. It goes through the process of teaching the student how to how to develop your own drone business. We've modified it for drone. It talks about the product services side and then how to market that business. So we do that. But then we also are teaching the student how to do fleet operations. Using the Kitty Hawk software and others, we're teaching them about drone asset management, pre-flight, in-flight, and post-flight operations. So the students will have all this knowledge here related to that course. The third thing we're doing is drone simulation. We understand the use of drone controls and then demonstrate their ability to master the drone maneuvering and flight patterns in a simulated environment. We recognize a professional drone pilot will need to know how to utilize drone simulation. We know a lot of employers out there require them to validate themselves on the drone simulators before they put them on a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 drone. You know what I mean? Or higher. So we want to make sure our students are familiar with the drone environment for simulation. The next thing is procedures on using drones in the industry. We have the use of drone manual flight operations. Can they manually fly a drone? Then they also have to be able to use autonomous flight operations. So not only can they fly on the stick, but they also can fly patterns autonomously for mapping purposes, for collecting data. We recognize this is one of the biggest areas of drone future possibilities is what you can do with the data. So we do that. And then the last part is drone mapping. So they have to be able to collect the drone mapping data, and then they have to be able to process the data. And actually, let me expand this down because it actually cut off something. They have to be able to process the data, and finally, they must be able to present that data to a customer. So not only must you be able to fly it, collect it, process it, but then present it. That's, to me, when you got a student that finishes this course here, they're going to be in pretty good shape, don't you think? What are your comments related to this level 2 course? This is what we're looking for feedback from you guys.
So in your level 2, this is mostly to do with operations, right, and things like that. How much? So are the two? Is it 1 week per one of your lines, or what do those numbers mean there? Or you have 4 or 5? I'm trying to understand the amount of time you're dedicating to processing data.
Yeah, that's a good question. If you look at the numbers on the side here, these are here for pacing guide purposes. We have a 135-hour block.
Okay.
So out of that time, 5% of the time is spent on entrepreneurship.
I see.
20% of our time is spent on fleet management operations. And remember, some of this fleet management operations stuff will take place while they're flying their drone, right? Because they're going to, if they're doing manual flight, they're still having to do pre-flight, in-flight, and post-flight operations. So some of this activity that's included in this 20% are going to be spent in that 20% over here. If you were to take this, and I'll be glad to share with you guys this, the blueprint that we have here. But 40% of our time is spent on actually flying the drone, and then 25% of that course is spent on mapping the drone. Does that answer your question?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Does that sound reasonable? I mean, we debated on that ourselves.
Yeah, I don't know just how much, because in your first course, right, it's mostly focused on procedures and simulations, right? So introductory and also regulations in Part 107, correct?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and bring up for you. That's a good question. Let me see if I can bring up for you the first, so you actually see the actual blueprint for that one. Let me that's 20. Let me bring up that one. Yep. I'm going to bring up this one for you. I'll show you exactly what it consists of. Because it's a little more than that. I'm just cutting to the chase. So if you look at what it does is, in our first level course, we cover basic history of drones. It's a first level course, right? Then we talk about drone hardware, a little bit about hardware, and then this 80% of the course here.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
Yeah, and then drone flight. We do have some drone flight in here, 15% of it. And introduce the drone. Just a little. Is the truth is you got to do a little flying to keep them engaged, right?
Sure. Yeah.
David, we're getting a lot of.
That's our first level course. Okay.
Yeah.
So, is there any other questions or comments?
I was going to say, from an industry standpoint, I think the part that's going to be helpful is to see what the procedures and checklists and things like that you guys are using for the course look like, and compare that to what we're seeing, in a utility space. That would be the part that I would be interested in, is kind of how closely does that relate to what's actually being done in the industry.
And Garrett, let me tell you, that's exactly what we need you to help us do, because we don't have this done. This is a pilot course, and so we're in the process of developing these checklists and stuff. We have to create the checklist inside of Kitty Hawk. And so whatever we want to put in there. So, if you have some checklists that you would like us to guide us.
That's the $1 million question, is what is Duke Energy doing to successfully collect data that we can help these schools integrate. And maybe it's the matter of taking what they have and then putting it out to the group, and people can mark it up or say, hey, this looks real good, or this is similar to what we're doing. But I think, like you were saying, David, that's what we're figuring out.
We'd be happy to work on that. We've got checklists for the Mavic. That's an aircraft that the Mavic 2, we use that quite a bit. We're actually using that for the distribution inspections in the Carolinas, so we can definitely help there, at least on that aircraft. And I think that's where the most value is in my mind, is making sure that what we're doing in the school systems is going to relate to what we're doing in industry.
And I was
with Gary saying that, recently something came up with indoor, so operations indoor. I know that's not something that's right here on the horizon for the NC high schools, but with all these different things, checklists are pretty critical to each individual operation to ensure that you're getting the data that you need. So I don't know if there's a way to have some folks help work on this, or I would be happy to assist with any kind of checklist stuff as well.
Yeah, because in fact, what I was thinking that we'll probably want to do is have because some of these operations, when we're looking at these operations and what they're going to be doing, we will have them fly different types of missions. And so one of the missions that we can fly, because Duke Progress is one of our biggest companies in North Carolina, of course. And so we would obviously want them to align to a potential for down the road, potential opportunities to work in that field. So one of the things that we would do, and one of the things that we're planning to do, is having some of these flights be power flights where they fly power lines of some type. Stonehouse drones, they fly power lines, what they do. So, I mean, they have checklists too. So we would definitely want to have a checklist that our students could go through for flying power lines or something in the power and energy field. You know, we'd want to have checklists for flying for construction, checklists for flying for agriculture. You see what I mean?
I do think, David, it is going to be important to have checklists just for the classroom, as far as like looking at the classroom itself as an operation, and checklists. Now I'm thinking about it. We got plenty of checklists on the drone delivery side, so definitely an important topic.
Dr. Barber.
Yes.
Yeah, 2.01, what's involved in that? Does that include airworthiness and maintenance issues?
You know, for drone asset management,
right.
Asset management will include, drone asset includes all of the assets. It includes the pilots themselves. Also, they're part of the assets, right? So pilot records also are stored in here, but all of your maintenance logs and everything's included in there. So it is flight worthiness. Every craft will have its own, every craft, all its maintenance records, because Kitty Hawk can do that. They can keep track of all that information, and so we're utilizing them to do that. We put in those assets in there, and we can track all the maintenance and all the, when there's time to change things, all that stuff would be included in that. But we need to make it up. We need to build it out so that in the end, we want our students to walk out of our classroom and go to work for Duke Progress to say, yeah, these people know, I already know how to do that, right? I know how to do these things. And you feel comfortable that if a student comes out of our program, they're exposed to how to do that. You understand?
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic.
We're still in the infancy stage of this. Matter of fact, we just revamped this level 2 class within the last few weeks ago, didn't we, Wayne?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So our question is, do you see anything? I mean, we're thinking, you tell us if we're wrong, we're thinking that because we've got until after this meeting to change this. We're thinking that if we, because the student is 107 certified and their NCDOT operator permit, they will have already had exposure to mapping. They'll already have exposure to the drones. They'll already have exposure to the Kitty Hawk fleet management software. They will already have had exposure. The objective of this course is the doing of it. To be able to get out of here as if they are when they get through this course, we want them to be more than a novice, but to have experience, not vast experience, but have experience at understanding what to look for when you go to work as a drone operator. These are the things that we know, that we need to know, and we already have some experience in that area. I mean, is something else you guys think we're missing or we need to do differently? We're open to that.
Even a mentoring process by industry.
Yes, absolutely.
It looks good to me. What we would call this is application-based training. So we put employees through like an initial qualification course when they're first hired that goes through kind of what your level 1 is, and then depending on what kind of jobs they do, we put them through application-based training, whether that's flying inside a containment or doing power line inspections or mapping. That's kind of how we have it structured, so that matches pretty well.
Do you have the ability? You have the ability to share some of that training materials that you're using for those students. I mean, for those things.
We can definitely discuss that. You were talking about the wire environment stuff. I was going to bring up that there's some pretty good industry standards out there too. Duke Energy does wire strike avoidance training for both manned aviation and unmanned. So we have a wire strike avoidance course that we put everyone through at the company that flies drones. And, it's stuff like that where it's flying the drone, being able to fly the drone is one thing, being able to collect data is one thing, but, a lot of what we do is establishing that culture of safety at the company, and especially with the aviation components. So, some of that is, methods to basically mitigate wire strikes and to understand kind of what's out in the environment that you're flying in, and, teach people not to hit stuff. That's a huge part of what we do as well. So we can definitely work on some of that.
And that would be great. And it may be, again, we haven't stuff we can before we spend a lot of time breaking this down below these levels, we obviously wanted to bring this information to you guys, have you look at it to see what you thought, to see where we need to beef up something, or if something's not there, to make sure that we include it. It sounds to me like that you guys, for the most part, think that you can't see, the what they say, the devil's in the details, and we're obviously at the very 30,000 foot level. Well, let's say we're at the 400 foot level. We can't go beyond that right now, right? So if we're up there at the top, we've got to bring it down lower. But before we spend the time bringing it down lower and defining the individual activities or stuff that they need to do, we want to ensure that we're on the right track. That's why we want to review with you guys, because you are industry people. Whether or not you're working in industry or your education, you're developing people to work in these fields, and that's what we want to make sure our students. That's what benefits of having your involvement. So if there's something you think that's not right, or you think it looks good, when this meeting's over with, I'll be glad to send you all the copy of the blueprints that we do have. And if you have some additional comments or anything you'd like to make, I'd be glad to do that. But if there's anything you'd like to make now, we want to give you time to do so.
Dr. Barber, just to let you know, Ben posted in the chat on the rules on the permit for NCDOT aviation.
So if there's nothing on that, I'm going to move that on and go to the next point on that. Okay, so we've covered okay, let's just talk about as far as the equipment is concerned for that level 2 course, it's really not applicable to us, because all the equipment you bought it in the first course. So there's really no additional equipment for them. Let's talk about this bottom one here. We are going to be using to map application from Ezra. And the reason why we're doing that is because Ezra is they give the high school programs their premium GSI software, all of it, for free. Drone to Map alone is just one of their many application programs that are available to us for free. But the only one that we're really focused on is Drone to Map. It's a modified map for 4D software application. The Drone to Map is $1,500 per person if you buy it commercially. But they give it free to all of our schools, all of our students. So we're going to align ourselves to Drone to Map, because it will provide a mapping tool, and it's Ezra is pretty well known in the GSI field. So we're going to align our mapping part to teach them, everybody across the state, the same software mapping tool, because it makes it easier for us to do training and everything else, and it's free. So that's what we're intending to do. I don't know if anybody had any concerns about that. Any questions, concerns about that for drone mapping?
That sounds good. It's based on Pix4D.
Yep.
We use Pix4D, we don't use anything like a drone deploy or a drone to map. We just go raw into Pix4D, and we also use Bentley, which is a pretty common one as well. But yeah, anything based in Pix4D should be good.
So if our students come out with Drone to Map, which is based on Pix4D, they should be able to utilize the Pix4D applications. I would assume that Pix4D probably more features than the Drone to Map does. But realistically, at what level are we going to be doing it? You understand? For our high school students, they're not going to be experts at Drone to Map, nor are they going to be experts at Pix4D. But they're going to be able to utilize their video, their data that they collected and be able to put it into 2D and 3D images using the map, the drone to map applications.
Yeah, I think the key there is understanding how it works, you know, the background of it, not necessarily how to do it, because there's a lot of different things you can do in Pix4D and Bentley and some of these other processing programs that take a lot more time to learn. So,
yeah, you saw we don't have a lot. Go ahead.
David, I'd say it's from the operator side, the 107, the drone pilot on the ground collecting the data. It's understanding the safety side of it. It's understanding that it's a software, and that software is prone to sometimes having issues, whether it isn't the right update or whatnot. So to be able to troubleshoot and navigate the software, whether it's drone deploy, Pix4D, drone to map, something through Esri, or the thing that's going to come out next week, if it's DatUmate or Skybrowse, these are just software that integrate with the hardware that we so choose to use, and troubleshooting, because like when you're out in the field, you know, what do you have to do to make sure it gets in the air and it gets the photos or the video you need? And they all work. They're all somewhat similar, and it just depends. If you're going into you know, the soil and water conservation districts here, they can leverage free things like drone to map and get all the information they need. But now if you're talking to a surveying company that is in hard and soft spaces and things like that, they're going to be on that Pix4D side. If you're talking in marketing, if they're doing content creation, real estate, they're going to use like a drone deploy just to produce a 3D model. So I think it's really just the procedures that are most important.
I understand, and I agree. And that the key for us is it's always beneficial to us to have a common approach, especially when it's free. School systems, you know, have limited. Truth is, we're going to be able to. This drone program that we put in the high schools is really relatively cheap. I mean, I have people call and complain about something, and I say, hold on. Now, look, you can, for $10,000, you can build a great drone program that can, I mean, everything you need and really some nice stuff for $10,000. Whereas you're going to put in that advanced manufacturing program, you're going to have to spend $100,000 and you ain't got much. You know, that doesn't make any sense. So that it's not that hard to sell people. That's why I've got more and more schools on board buying into the drone program, because it's also, let's face it, it engages the student in the learning process, and there's great opportunities that'll be coming. The other thing I want to talk to you about, one of the things that we are doing, and I want to get your input on this, is Wayne want to talk about this a minute, is that under certifications, what we're doing is we are now LAPSN, Law and Public Safety Education Network. Is a national organization. I'm actually chairman of the board of directors, but it's based upon providing public safety programs and collaborative efforts in secondary across the country, so that we have synergies and we can build out more of these public safety type program training students to work in those fields. And one of the things we recognize is that drone is one of the big things that's coming in public safety. So LAPSN is starting a new public safety program area for drones. And Wayne Bailey has agreed and has already signed a contract with us to be our lead person for this. And as part of that, LAPSN is going to be producing 2 industry certifications that our students are going to be able to earn in this course. The first one is entitled, is going to be the NIST 2400 standard. So LAPSN will produce an Nfpa 2400 standard certification. And the second one will be a drone to map certification. We've already confirmed with Ezra, it's okay for us to do that. And it's okay for us to do the Nfpa 2400 standard. You want to talk about those just a minute?
Absolutely. Being public safety, and that's what LAPSN is about, is mixing the drones with not just firefighting, but also over in the law enforcement side. So NFPA 2400, and Darshan is also a committee member, I want to recognize him, of NFPA 2400, is it is a industry standard of professional qualification, and it is recognized not just statewide or national, but also internationally. So NFPA 2400, I think the title is UAS for Public Safety, is one of the first certifications that LAPSN will offer. We also want to offer it to our students here in North Carolina, but typically what we're generating here, we want to offer over to LAPSN as well. And LAPSN is reaching the high school, community college level nationwide, maybe even internationally here in another year or two. But it's just helping those teachers having to go and recreate curriculum by being a member of LAPSN, which is very, very inexpensive for them to be able to do. They're able to network and be able to share these resources. So we're going to share NFPA 2400 with LAPSN and also the Esri Drone to Map. And then they'll actually get a certificate, a certification from it, from LAPSN. And that way things can be measured, and it'll be part of their resume, part of their portfolio. When they go apply for a job, they can show that they've got a certificate that they have done some training. And that'll give the future employer some idea where they're starting. And we're not trying to do the on-the-job training to where they just walk into a job, but when they walk in, they're not going to be walking in cold. They're going to understand how to do mapping. And it may be, the Duke way, or it may be, the way that industry is doing, but at least they're not walking in cold. And so that's the goal, is to be able to get these guys up. And you know what? They may get into this and not like it. So maybe we're helping filter some of those folks from getting into this industry that may not want to do it. So if we can filter them out, and the ones that are hardcore and ready for it, then they're going to walk in through your door, hopefully, to be able to, start running and not just crawling or walking. Back to you, sir.
Okay. Any questions about that? Comments?
I'd love to see that. I'm not familiar with that standard, but that's something I'm sure Zipline and some others would love to see that, because that helps too when you start talking about going and doing job postings. If there's something not a required, not something that's a requirement in a job posting, but like a preferred skill or preferred certifications and things like that, if that's something that lots of people are going to have, or programs are going to be doing, looking at whether we can adopt that as like a preferred certification for hiring purposes.
Dr. Barber, at our next meeting, I'll be ready to do a presentation on 2400 and the Esri Drone to Map to give the advisory committee some insight of what's actually being taught and what they're actually accomplishing.
Okay.
That's okay.
Hold on a minute, but that'll be good. Notice if you look on my thing, I'm making a few notes over here. We will be glad to send you the. We have a link to the NIST standards. The building of it. It's really. I mean, the truth is, schools can build these things for like $350. They're not much at all. And there's I got a company. I got a guy who built these things for $500. So it don't take much to build the standards, but it's more than just the standard. But anyway, like I said, we can send you the information. And we can schedule next time we have our meeting. We can have them cover both of those certifications. But we're excited about that. Is there any other questions related to those certifications or anything? Okay, we're going to move to, we're pretty close on schedule, a little bit behind, not far. I will catch up. The next thing I want to talk about is additional student programs. If you're not familiar with student organizations, we have Skills. Is anybody familiar with Skills USA? Skills USA is a student organization that focuses on our industrial education students. It works with industry. We have a huge following of industry because people are using Skills USA to hire potential employees. These Skills USA has regional competitions on skill competitions. Then they have state competitions. Then they have national competitions. And the national winners, there are employers who are begging for these people. Because these people beat people out of the best out of the entire country in this skill set. So there's actually employers who are hiring people from Skills USA. So we actually are part of Skills USA and in North Carolina, and we have a drone contest that we're doing at the state level. We have it scheduled at state level. Wayne, can you tell basically what the skills? I mean, the contest. Remember, we There's actually 3 parts to it. Do you remember that off the top of your head?
I've slept once since then, but I'll do my best. Skills USA, just think about in automotive, they have a contest on fixing and troubleshooting an engine. Body shop, they may do a repair. In carpentry, they're building something using blueprints that's given to them, and then they go and build it. Bricklayers are building a structure, based on blueprints. And so with the drone, we're looking at using the Nist standards to be able to measure their skills, to be able to go through this prop. And hopefully Dr. Barber is going to share you a link to a video that was done. The second part of it, they're going to be given a mission, and they're going to have to go through that mission on how to be able to prepare for it. As Paul said earlier, having a checklist to be able to go through and tell the proctor what they would do to get ready for this. And it would be a scenario like a search and rescue, or doing an inspection of a distribution pole or transmission tower. And then the third part would be an interview for a job. We want to get entry standards that would be hiring these folks to be able to come in and act as a employer, and we would interview them and help them once they go through those questions of you want this job, tell me why, what's your background, and then afterwards be able to help critique. You probably need to spend a little bit more time in this area or this more, polish this up. So we want to get them ready. So it's possible that if you're in industry and you go in and you're one of these interviewers, you may say, dang, this lady, this man did a great job. I want to hire them when they get out of high school. So you're already looking at some of these industry, folks that may be coming into the industry. So we're excited about that. And we want to make sure that we promote this to all areas of the high school, not just for the guys, but also for the girls, is that we've seen a huge ladies presence in the drones of operating this. So we want to be able to promote all of that to it. But Skills USA, we were sad that it had to be canceled last year. And I've got some rumors, Dr. Barber, that it's going to be virtual coming up in 2021. Yeah, I know. So
it hasn't been officially. It has not been officially decided. We had a meeting today about 2.5 hours to discuss it, and so the final word will be coming out shortly. It becomes difficult right now. North Carolina, our numbers are not looking good. We're actually, in Johnson County where I live, 1,100 students are at home today because of COVID. 43 students have COVID themselves, but 1,100 are quarantined because they or someone in their family has COVID. In Johnson County, and that's not like 28,000 students. So it's not a good thing right now, and decisions have to be made. But our point is, eventually we're going to clear all this up.
And just the intent. In 2019, when you had Skills USA North Carolina, you were at the Greensboro Coliseum, and how many students did you have in attendance during that?
We have about 2,000 students there. We were anticipating, we already had people excited about this contest, and if we had done that contest last spring, we would have had 30, 40 students involved in it. I'm pretty comfortable. What we're looking for you, and to let you know, what we're looking for you is that as we do eventually have this contest, we'll be looking for you to help us as contest judges. We're going to be having the flying part and everything, but also what we were thinking about doing is having eventually we're going to meet mostly virtual, but we would try to have one meeting a year in person, and what we would try to do is tie that into Skills USA. So at the spring conference, when we had Skills USA in April in Greensboro, we would try to schedule an in-face meeting once a year. That's what we would try to do. That way everybody could come, and if you didn't want to be judged, you could still see our students. Because it's all about our students, right? We want to see our students doing these things. And so that's what we would want to do, is try to schedule it at that time. And just to let you know, that's our plans for the future. But there still might be, by the way, a national Skills USA contest. I think Wayne had a conversation with the chairperson for that yesterday or something, didn't you, Wayne?
I did, and he's the one that hinted that it would be it would not be in person.
And Skills USA National has already announced that they're doing virtual, 100% virtual, but they're looking at virtual where you record yourself doing something remotely. So it would still be remote. It just would not be in one location. So I'm not sure how they're going to do that yet. That's here or there. So
he did not share the details on that, but I'll get back with him.
yeah, we will update you on that as we go forward. So my point is we are working with their national certification also. Teacher student certification. This is something that we need some help on. There are organizations out there. These are great organizations, AUVSI, AMA, AOPA. All these are great organizations. I know AUVSI has a student membership. AMA has clubs that you can create. And with the clubs comes some type of level of interest. I can't get AMA to give me a call back. If any of you have contacts with AMA, if you have them call me, because we're trying to see if that's something that we can do, because there's actually insurance at no cost to the school, liability insurance that they can get if they're members of AMA. So I'm trying to get them. AOPA has some great curriculum that they've developed and that they're continuing to develop and deploy. And their curriculum, I think, is free, as last I heard on a conference I watched at ACTE, a workshop that they're doing. So, but these are organizations. The question is, do you see value in membership for our students who are involved in our programs to be members of AUVSI, AMA, AOPA, all of them, any of them, or any one of them? What's your suggestion? I know some of you are members of each one.
Is Darshan still on the call that could talk about that?
I think Darshan dropped off, but Riley's on here.
Okay. Riley, can you talk about AUVSI? Is there anything there for students to be members at a discount?
There are some student memberships. We're talking to them now about some discounts. There's also some different things for them to be able to have some experiences with different businesses and companies, which we're trying to get involved in North Carolina. Almost like they're going out to proctor them or do different things. But we are talking to them about discounts for students. There are some small discounts, but we're talking about something where it would be statewide, something a little more noticeable, but we can definitely know what we find out.
Maybe a statewide fee that Dr. Barber would pay for, and then all the students would fall underneath it.
And it's possible, but it would have to be a really good, reasonable fee.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that right, Trey?
But that would be definitely beneficial for our students to go ahead and get into AUVSI, especially the North Carolina chapter, and start understanding and shaking hands, kissing babies, with the industry experts and understanding what's going on to be able to educate themselves, and especially, the monthly talks that we have on Friday. Right, Riley?
Yes, sir. And that's the whole thing, is we're trying to do that. And we really won't like the idea of trying to get these high school students involved, like you guys are saying, involved with these different companies, public safety groups, whatever their focus may be. We really want to get them involved with those on the ground level.
David, I agree. I just couldn't get my unmute button clicked quick enough. Sorry about that.
I think definitely it's important to get the educators, the teachers that have the 107s and are connecting with the students, because they can take all that information that they get through these, that the NCHSDAC does, or AOPA, or AMA, and then they can bring that. That's just additional resources for them, and to get the students involved.
Can we get your discount? Our student discount? Is there a teacher discount? Educator discount?
Membership for a 107 holder for AUVSI is $79 for the year, and I don't believe
is that right? So if you're a 107 holder, it's only $79 a year?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, like I said, let's have some conversations offline about that with AU. If they want to give me somebody, Riley, you give me a call, you guys, whatever. Let's talk about what we can do, see what we can do, and what you guys are working on. We'll be glad to I got a note to follow up on that, okay, right here. Anybody here on AMA? Anybody here involved in AMA?
I was just going to say AMA is a little bit more of the hobby side. We really don't do anything with AMA, but I was going to bring up AOPA has it's called Aviators Youth, and they basically will let you have a membership for free between the ages of 13 and 18, I believe. And the biggest thing there in my mind is they offer some of their safety content, the AOPA safety courses, and there's some really good stuff in there that we actually have. We've had some of our people take some of that, and also the FAST team, the FA FAST team, they have a training website that has a lot of good content on it as well. But that's all free. So,
do you have a contact person that I can contact about that, Garrett?
I don't have a contact person. I just know that you can go on the AOPA website and
Okay.
find the membership
Okay.
information there for that youth program, and then the FAST team. I can email you a URL for the FAST team website, but the FAST team website, they actually use that for recurrent training for manned aviation. They have a credit program on there if you're doing like biannual currency as a manned pilot. You can actually earn some currency requirements through their FAA site.
The wings.
Yeah, with the wings program, correct.
I've got contacts, Dr. Barber, for the FAST team and AOPA, so I'll get those to you, sir.
Okay, that'd be great. Or I may let you lead that effort.
Sure. I'll take care of it.
Okay. So is there any other membership that y'all think could be of value? And let's say the only reason the AMA comes up is because AMA has, if you join AMA, there's no cost, I think, in chartering with them as a student organization, and then you get free liability insurance. And so that's one of the ways that schools can cover liability insurance by just having an AMA chapter. So something that we didn't talk about insurance. Let me tell you that our schools do have to have liability insurance. Whole insurance is something that they can have or not have. We don't really, but they do obviously have to have a liability insurance. There's been a big debate on, because as you know, the school's insurance policy does not include drones unless you have that added back, because they take it out. But most of our schools, I think, have just been, their insurance companies are willing to just add it back. So it's not appearing to be as big an issue as it originally looked like it was. That the insurances, that they're the providers for the local school systems are putting it. I think they're not as concerned about us because of the way we're doing it. They're not really concerned as much about liability, I guess. So anyway, just to let you know. Is there any other student membership or something that you guys can think about that we might want to look at? Anything?
I don't know about the memberships. This is Jason Holt. I'm happy to take the guys out in Haywood County and run them on a transmission line and let them practice on our cell towers. That can kind of shift them. Some guys are cut out for doing work on power lines. Other guys are cut out for pushing buttons, doing mapping or cell tower work. So just because a pilot doesn't hack it in one area doesn't mean they can't hack it in another. And we do that IP3, we could do that for educational purposes under our nonprofit, the American Drone Council. I'm sure we could work something out with that, and maybe with Garrett Scott and the guys from Duke Energy, we could start prepping people for the future of the drone stuff. I know internally it seems to me we're going to be doing a lot of Part 135 flying. I know we're going to be doing a lot of Part 137 doing ag stuff, as well as the inspections. And, I think at some point, if it keeps leaning towards that heavy lift stuff, you're going to have to make a new certification for that and maybe run guys through a private pilot and instrument rating. And then instead of giving them a commercial manned aircraft license, give them a commercial drone license, allowing them to fly heavy lift. But, there's a lot of things there, but I'd be happy to work with you guys on any sort of certification from the, inspection and service side that we've got and the training, try and get these guys a little more prepared. So when they hit the job market, if they did want to go to work for Duke Energy, they could go and maybe do an electrical engineering class and then have their drone license already. And I know when we did this stuff for California, when it first started up out there for the Paradise Fires, we were trying to place some pilots with them, but we wanted to vet the pilots properly. So we started out, they asked for 15 hours of transmission line time. We bumped that to 25, then they came back at 50, and now they're looking for, 100 and 400 hours of transmission and distribution inspection time before they feel comfortable letting guys out there. So, we train guys to do that, and basically if they come through and they get the IP3, we've vetted them so I could place them as pilots with companies. But other folks, we'd have to vet them, but that's certifications you need to kind of lean towards is industry specific. So someone does a cell tower inspection, that's what they want to do. We set up a certification so those guys can have a bit of credit hours trained in nothing but cell tower work, how to avoid the VHF and frequencies and whatnot. But I think that, that's one thing we need to be concerned about for the future, as well as the 135 stuff. I know a lot of things are going to be over 55 pounds before long. And when you're doing agricultural spraying or something like that, a gallon of fluid roughly is 10 pounds. So 4 gallons, that's 40 pounds. If your drone's 15, that's your 55 right there. So we need to think about those things if we're prepping these kids for jobs in the future. But I'll be happy to work with you on any certifications outside of NFPA 2400 and the things Wayne's doing. And I'd be happy to work with you on those as well.
Those could be future contests, the Skills USA in 3 to 5 years. You could be doing competition on cell phone tower inspections, or distribution pole inspections, or spraying in a field with the agricultural sprayers. Who knows what's going to happen in 3 to 5 years, but that could easily be a competition that's being held.
We can work with the do some drone contests. There's no reason why we can't.
Right, and
that would be great.
That's why
we can do that.
That's why you need industry to be involved in this, to let you have on this call to be able to help with that process.
We only got about.
I'd also like to. Real quick, we did have a company recently do those contests with a bunch of their GP drone pilots. The guys that do the racing league, they thought they could use them to do what we do in wind farm inspections and whatnot, and they realized real quick those guys aren't the pilots to do this. So it is a specialized type of training and flying. You can't just switch a drone racing league pilot and an inspection pilot overnight. The guys do have skills, but they need to be kind of trained in what they're going to do.
A different set of skills.
Yep, and these contests are fantastic for weeding out the skills, but they still need refinement at the end of the day.
People run the 2 hours that I committed. What I would ask you, if you look at item C here, 4C, it says additional thoughts from the committee on company tours, internship, employmentships, scholarships. We've already had some conversations. Some of you already offered to do some things like this. What I would ask you to do is, if you're interested and willing, if you're as we develop these right now, we're not going to be company tours or internships or things like that. But if you're interested in providing something, or of some ideas on how to do some company tours, in person or virtual. So, example, if you've got somebody that's going to fly a power line or fly a power tower, and you want to do a virtual tour, we can set up and say, hey, today we're going to do this, and you turn your camera on, and you can do it live and have everybody come online at the same time. Then we can save for later. But if you got some ideas about that, we can do that. Please let me know. We're gonna do that. I wanted to make sure that I got time for our next steps. Let me just go through our next steps. So what we did was we talked about work group for check sheets based upon different industry needs. If you are interested, and I'll send these out, we'll put together some official meeting minutes. And if you're interested, Wayne and I'll work on it tomorrow, I guess maybe Wayne, or Monday, and get these minutes together so we can send them out to you folks. But if you're interested in helping serve or helping provide us, if you want to provide us some check sheets so we can start looking at, if you'd like to work together to develop some check sheets that we'll use with our students for, pre-flight, in-flight, post-flight, assessments, all of those things. We'll be glad to take your assistance, because you guys are the industry people. We're not. We'll be glad to do that. Let me know about that. I'll be sending out to you a copy of our course blueprints. We'll also send you out in that same email. We'll send you the list of our NSIT, the Nist standards, with a link to the YouTube. We'll also send you. The question was, We're going to be looking at USVI for possible student programs. I think we'll talk to Riley some more about that, and maybe Darsan and them. And also, we'll go look at the AOPA free membership. We'll do some research on that. And then Jason said he was willing to do some flight training for students, inspection certification, develop some new things too. And so we'll make sure we try to have another conversation with him. Our next meeting, we need to schedule our next meeting. My guess is that we should have, I'm looking at somewhere, let me bring up my calendar, and you can look in your calendar, see if you're interested. Let me find my calendar. And yes, that is 452 emails. Go ahead, Wayne.
No, I was going to say is that something we may want to add to that list for the colleges, community colleges, universities on the call. Maybe trying to set up something if students are looking to go to attend one of these institutions. I know, I guess they still do it, doing college visits, and I'm sure that they're being done virtually. So we may want to start thinking of that for students that's wanting to go somewhere in the fall that's graduating this year, setting up with those. So it may not be our advisory committee members, but it could be someone in their registrar's office or someone to be able to talk to them about, coming to the university. So we want to try to set that up as well, right?
Yeah, we do. And let me tell you what I'd like for us to do next year. I'd like for this committee to help lead the effort of Drone Safety Awareness Week, where what we do is we take our show on the road, because hopefully we're going to be in person, and when we would have different meetings at like community colleges or something starting in the western part of the state, and each day move until we finish up on Friday at Elizabeth City State University at their campus. And maybe one of the days we have at Lenore Community College because they have their drone program. We have these different, we have drone vendors and all come in and have each day as something where the school kids from the communities can come to. We've done that with construction career days, and that works out really well. So we can actually do that across the state. Darsan and I had some conversations about that. That's one of the visions that we had many years ago. We just haven't been able to do it. So let me tell you, because we're about running out of time, the date I would like to propose as a date in the sand is maybe February the 9th. That's a Tuesday. It'll be February the 9th at around 2 o'clock. I give you far enough out in advance. That's 2 months from now. Is that something, if does anybody have immediately a problem on that? We can check if we need to, but just want to push it out there, see if anybody's on the call has a problem with February the 9th at 2 o'clock. Does it sound okay? Nobody has a complaint? I don't hear any negative things.
That works for me.
Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll schedule it for February the 9th at 2 o'clock. I'll send out a WebEx meeting on that. What I'll do is I won't send the WebEx meeting now. I'll send out the notification that we're going to be doing that to get feedback from those that might not be on the call. Some people drop off the call, some people aren't here, and we got this thing recorded. So we'll send this out, and we will we'll address that. And also, this is not to say that we can't have some contacts along the way. Anytime you have a contact, any information, or you want to share any information with the group, please send it to us. We will have the information available. We have a website, some Google Docs that we'll have available, and we can answer questions on, and we can go there. Trey, do you have something to add?
Oh, no, I just was saying I was good with that time and date.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. All right. Well, does anybody else have anything for go? I don't want to take you beyond your time. It's a 4:01. I appreciate your time. I really do. You folks have really helped us a lot in helping guide where we're looking at going, confirming some things, giving us some ideas about what we need to do in some of these other areas, and helping us to begin flushing out, especially our level 2 courses. And we are looking for speakers for summer conference. For our summer conference is July the 19th to the 23rd. We will be having pre-recorded sessions and some live sessions. So we were going to be looking for some of you that might want to present on some things that you're doing, some workshops, some webinars and stuff like that we can do during that time period. So be thinking about that. That'll be July the 19th to the 23rd. We'll be sending that out. Anybody else have anything else they would like to add before we end for the day? Trey, would you like to have a final word?
I just want to say thank you all for being on today and giving us your time. We appreciate it. We appreciate what you're going to do for us in the future to make sure that what we're providing for students in North Carolina will help you ultimately have great employees. So thank you all.
Wayne, do you have a parting word, Wayne?
No, I'm excited on what how we're going to be able to take this to the next level and be able to prepare students for the future.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for being here. And if there's anything we can do for you anytime, feel free to not hesitate to let us know. I will be sending out the information, like I said to you, so you can review it and give us any comment or anything like that. We will be sending some minutes to the meeting out also. And if there's anything you think we missed that we need to add, feel free to just email. Again, it'll be a Google Doc, so you can feel free to add it right there. Okay? Thank you much. Hey, y'all enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, David. Thank you all.
Take care, David. Thanks.